have this kit that was made, and it's such a fabulous kit. It's really unusual because I don't know of any companies that make a Silverpoint tools specifically. And this was actually developed by request from an artist who does Silverpoint. And so we really developed it based on the traditional method of Silverpoint. But the different thing about Silverpoint, and my assistant is coming on the table, and you will see him shortly. There he is. He has to check the inventory, except he wants to drink the paint water. That's really funny. You can't drink the paint water, dude. Gee. Anyway, so Evelyn's here. Hello. So glad you're here from Alaska. Welcome. So Silver Point, again, I'll start about Silver Point. It's traditionally done on a ground surface, like a gessoed surface. There is a Silver Point ground that the kitty bomb. Yes, she did, he did, and he probably will again. He likes to he likes there's this thing, I'm gonna laugh, but see this here? He's obsessed with this right here, the water. And even if I put a cover on it, he's determined to get that darn water. And I do plan to do a little watercolor today. So, as soon as I pull the water out, he's all over it. So, um, all right. So let's get started. I'm going to unbox this. And we're going to basically, it's a nice kit to get started in any of this Silver Point. But here's what it is. I'm going to just open it up and then I'll get started on the demo. So we've got it comes like this, and it comes with a really nice tool, Silverpoint tool. And it's kind of an interesting tool. It's a 2 mm tip. And it's interesting because it just screws right off. And I notice when I'm using it, it tends to want to come unscrewed a little bit. So if you want to take a little pair of pliers and tighten it sort of gently, otherwise you'll just have to tighten it once in a while. But taking this off is, which you would need to do if you want to change the tip. And the kit comes with an extra tip. It's not really an extra duplicate of this one. It is, and he probably is going to go crazy for this. This is a 1 mm. It's a much thinner, if you can see that, but it's a much thinner tip. So you can get much finer lines. And this one has a 2 mm and this is 1 mm. Now, when you're using the 1 mm, it's a lot thinner. So it's gonna be finer, but you're gonna have to be careful about how much pressure you put because this is 99% silver. And the 99% silver is very soft. So just kind of be careful. The tip on this one is it's much thicker, so you can put some pressure on. But the beauty about this, and I'll leave this out so I probably will do some work on that with this. But the beauty about it is that you can change them, even though I've had my Silverpoint tool for a couple of years and the nib is barely worn down. So you really don't need to, I don't think you'll ever need a refill, but we do have refills a bit available. And it's just a lovely tool. It has the Yasutomo Umbache logo on the back, this we'll say faux bamboo handle, beautifully designed, and it really holds really well in my hand. It's just a nice feel. And I think my little assistant's going to come back over. He's just determined. Come over here. Here, I'll put the water over here. Maybe it'll take you. All right, you gonna come over here? Here he comes. He's just slithering on by. I don't know if you see him. He's trying to stay out of the camera. Do you want to say hello here? I'll put it right here. You could say hello. Oh boy. Okay, this is the silver point tip. That's what that is. And you can keep your eye on it over there. Okay. And then what you want to do is after you get that over here, you want to take this and play with it? Here, play with this. It's so silly. Okay. And what you get is inside the box. I'm so distracted. So inside the box, you're gonna get the QR code that if you use, it gives you the instructions on how to do it. And basically, it's a type of metal point. And I'm just going to read this a little bit. Silver point is a type of metal point. So silver is one of the metal points. Sometimes they use copper. Sometimes they use other. I'm not sure if gold is used. I don't think so. But basically, copper or silver metals that will tarnish or leave a mark. So and we'll go into that. Makes a really great drawing instrument because you can get these really detailed, meticulous drawings. And the difference between like a traditional Silverpoint, we have mineral paper as the surface to draw on. And mineral paper, because of its composition, is perfect for the Silverpoint. You're going to get in the kit 5 sheets of mineral paper, just nice and loose like this, 5x7. But you also get a piece, it's a board that we had made that has mineral, yes, mineral paper has been fused on top. Hi, Lynn, so glad, and hi, Wanda. So it's just me and my cat, and his name is Jude. So it's just me and Jude today, Wanda. Jude has been kind of like my assistant or troublemaker. So he's obsessed with everything. And so the paper is mounted on here, and that makes a really nice surface because it's got a nice hard surface. So you're going to get that in your kit, and you get these printed instructions in French if you happen to speak French or read French, and in English. Very simple. So now I've showed you the kit, and I want to show you just some different tips with Silverpoint. Okay, so here I've got some artwork sort of sitting here. And so you didn't miss anything, Lynn. So really, I've been just goofing around. Actually, I'm showing the Silverpoint kit and the mineral paper. It comes with mineral paper. And I'm going to talk about Silverpoint tools. So this is what I've had. Actually, I've had a couple years, this one. And it's got a nice dull tip already. And if you want to change the tip size or the tip angle, because right now this has got a little wedge, this little tip has a wedge and it's kind of sharp. But if you want it to be duller, you could use some sandpaper, like, fine sandpaper to kind of sort of soften the edge a little bit. Eventually, with enough drawing, you're going to get that tip's going to change anyway. It's going to get round. So if you want to sharpen it again, you can just take it on sandpaper and just kind of move it along. Now, the beauty about drawing with a Silverpoint, it doesn't draw on paper. So I'm going to just show you this. I'm going to just try to, oops, look what I just did. I'm going to try to draw. See, there's nothing's happening. But if I try to draw on the mineral paper, you see it's making marks. So the thing that's wonderful about the Silverpoint is you've got 2 options. You can work on mineral paper, or you can take some gesso, and the calcium, or I guess it's the calcium, I don't know. Karen is here too. Hi, Karen. You can just draw directly on the gesso. It will make the mark on the gesso, but it won't on the paper that's behind it. So it's really interesting. So I'm just going to show you. And another thing I found is if you make a boo-boo, like right here, there's a mark that I made by accident. It actually erases from the mineral paper, which is pretty incredible. You can actually use just a decent kind of an eraser. This is just a rubber eraser. You can erase. It's amazing. So this one I did, which I'm going to show you today, a little technique. Hi, Jean. Glad you're here. Hey, people are here. Yay. This one, I'm going to show you that one way you can get an image and then you can watercolor. So I got the image with the Silverpoint, and I did some watercolor on the mineral paper. The thing I love about Silverpoint is over time, it will tarnish over time. And you can see, I was playing with this morning. You see it's shiny. That is the silver that has been deposited on the paper, which is incredible. So, right now it looks sort of gray. And then over time, and depending on the humidity or whatever you're doing, this is going to tarnish and get a beautiful, kind of a warm patina over time. And I think that's what I love about it. Now, mineral paper is kind of a soft surface. You can see on the back of my drawing. I don't know if you can see that, but it's a little bit, it's soft. So you have to be, when you're working on it, do it on a harder surface, like a piece of masonite, something like this. I like to work on. If I do it on a soft surface, it's going to kind of emboss or deboss or whatever you want to call that. It's going to create like it will actually make an impression or a indentation with your tool. So I'm just gonna start, just give you an idea of what ways you can use it, besides just drawing. So I'm just gonna grab a piece of 5x7, which is a set that comes with the kit. And I'm just going to show you just simple mark making. Hi, Julie. Yay, Julie's here. So it's just me with myself. Phoebe's not here today. She's on her way to New Orleans for a trade show. I'll be joining her tomorrow. I'm excited. We're going to be doing the art supply trade show. It's like art supply heaven. So we're going to be showing all of our new stuff, including this kit, which I'm really excited about. So now I'm just going to draw directly on it. Now I'm going to use the one that I just got out of the kit, and it might be a little scratchy, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. So I'm just going to make some lines. Now, you can just draw directly on it like this. And of course, I'm a one-hit wonder. I'm going to go do my leaves just because I want to show you the simplicity of the line here, but it's very almost like a pencil, but not as intense. So for watercolor, if you're a watercolor artist or a watercolor enthusiast, you can use, and you like to use mineral paper, or try it because it's amazing. This is a great way to make drawings for your watercolors, because you won't get that with graphite. You're going to get it's darker, first of all, and it also spreads and it makes a mess sometimes. This is a wonderful way to get this drawing down, and it's very pale, and it has a silver, kind of a silver sheen to it. So let's say I'm going to do a watercolor here. Now, this is I just drew it out, and what I'm going to do is I have to tell you about mineral paper. I tend to want to put a little water on it first. And the lovely thing about mineral paper is that mineral paper will not buckle no matter how wet you get it, which is great. So just put some water on it, and I'm going to kind of smooth, whoops, I just wrinkled it. See what I just did? I'm just kind of really wetting it. And the reason I'm doing this is I'm kind of preparing it for watercolor. If you don't do this ahead of time, just wet it down and dry it off. That's all. Simple, simple, right? If you don't do that, what happens is sometimes, quite often, I'm not sure if it's the way it was manufactured, but sometimes the paper has like a little coating on it, and it basically makes the watercolor bead up, much like Yupo does. And I want it to behave like mineral paper, because mineral paper has some absorbency. So I've got it prepared. Of course, I wrinkled it when I did my thing. I could do some drawing just a little bit instead of just here. I could do some little cross hatching with my Silverpoint tool, or if I want this dark vein to be darker, I can just kind of create some what do you call it, depth in my leaf right now, just to start, maybe even go a little darker. And I'm using I'm not putting a lot of pressure on with my tool. The way that this works the best is layers, just layers. So you're not going to dig in thinking that you'll get a darker color. You won't. You'll just get a big hole in your paper. So the best thing is just to kind of work with it in layers, and just kind of, you can do little cross hatches like this. I'm just going to kind of color this in a little bit so you can see how I just kind of create depth, and I just go over it and over it. And then what happens is I'm depositing more of that silver. And then you might even see as I keep doing it, it's going to deposit more and more silver. And I'm just going this is very light. It's a light touch, but the more I go over it, the deeper the line gets. And it's a really unusual, it's kind of, I like it better than graphite for sketching out a watercolor, because I can erase it, and then I can control the depth, and they could be just a very faint line if I don't want it to show on my watercolor. Like this one, you can barely see the silver point sketch. I don't see it. The watercolor kind of just covered it up. But if you want to have a little more showing, you can do that and just kind of prepare your drawing as a little base, and just kind of cross hatching here, and maybe do a little heavier here, but just layers. Okay, so the more you keep going over an area, the more it's going to get darker. And so I've got that little dark spot there. I'm just going to just do just a little drawing here This is kind of how you would use it without, if you don't want to add color or anything like that. You just kind of work like this. You can do like shading, such as like this, shading the way you would do a pencil. Okay, like that, and you get the depth if you want depth. So I'm just going to kind of just show you the different options here. So if you want to do fun little lines, like squiggly lines, you can make all kinds of little, like kind of, I don't know, what do you call these? Just kind of fun little lines, just to kind of make it more interesting here. Okay, so I've got my little preliminary drawing and done my silver point. Oh, I forgot to add a little bit here. I just want you to see how great the watercolor is going to work over this. So it makes, for me, this tool is now, when I do draw ahead of time, which most of the time I don't, I just kind of watercolor without drawing. But if you're going to sketch ahead of time, this is a wonderful, wonderful way to do it. Okay, so now I've got some watercolors. And I can't do a demo without watercolors. I just can't. So I'm going to take my brush. And now that my cat has abandoned, yep, he's abandoned ship here, so that's all right. I can use my art supplies without being interrupted. So I've got my watercolors, and I'm just going to make a green mix. I could make it any color I want, actually, but I'm going to just use what's kind of here. And since I treated it, I'm going to show you what happens when you don't treat it. Here's a page that hasn't been treated. And this is, you'll see when I put watercolor over it. Let's see what happens. So I'll do the same thing. I'll make a just kind of a shape. See what happened? It just bubbled up like that. That could be something you like. That might be a effect that you might like, but it does bubble. Now when I do it, because I put the water on it, it's not going to bubble at all. And I'll show you when it's going to go on really smooth. I hope. At least yep. It just goes on way differently. I'm just going to kind of take my watercolor, bring it to the edge of the drawing, and you can see it's not bubbling. It's just going on really smooth. And I'm using the Niji Essential watercolor set. And I'm going to go light, like a light little coat here. And what I like about the mineral paper is kind of, it's just lets me kind of take my time in filling in the color. I can add some blue. So I want it to be kind of a interesting color. Oh, yeah, that's pretty. Just want to see what happens when I maybe take that one half and add the blue. And it acts so different compared to, watercolor on paper, obviously. It's just totally different experience. I'm going to just take this green, this part, and add some green. I'm just going to using my drawing as a guide. I don't have to, but it kind of makes a nice edge for the watercolor. And then I'm going to put some of that yellow. I just love this yellow for the mixing. And I'm just doing it just to fill in. Now, once it dries, of course, I can do a lot more things, some layering, which I plan to do. So here, I'll just take this down here. And I've already got that dark part figured out. So I'm going to just take this. I don't know why I did that. I want you to see how how the silver point actually is going to show underneath. Very, very faint, but it's there. So the lines that I've made are there. And they can be enhanced with paint or not. But just as a little idea, you have to let this dry completely. So like that's what I did with this one. And I see, I'll take this little brush here and use my #1 brush. And I'm going to add a little darker, just kind of darken right in here, just to let it kind of float. And the mineral paper will let the paint soak in, but it kind of floats a little bit differently than, let's say, cotton paper. And it's just really fabulous to do. There we go, both. So I've kind of got this little thing going, and what's really neat is I'm not getting any buckling at all. So it's just really, really wonderful. Now, if I find that I have too much water and it's just too much, what's great about this is I can either use a brush, which I'll just try to use the brush this time. I'm going to just take my brush and I'm just going to sort of sop up a little bit because I think I overdid it just a little. You can also lift, if you want to really lift it, you can kind of you can either take a sponge or not a sponge. Yeah, like one of those artist sponge. See how I'm able to just kind of lift and change it up a little bit. So there's a lot of things you can do to this. But I wanted to let this dry, but it's going to take a long time. So I'm just going to hopefully let it will dry in the time I'm going to show you some other things. And I'll come back to this and show you what I would do next. So I'm going to go ahead and move this and get to this other thing. That's really fun. So I did this little thing this morning, and I've got these my painted papers, the ones, the origami paper. I just glued them to a piece of watercolor paper, and I put a little gesso on top. Now, interesting that the tool will not write on this. It just won't, but it will draw on the gesso or the treated part of this paper. So all I just did is a little brush of that, and I'll show you. I'll kind of do another one here. This one looks like it needs exactly what this is, a leaf. And if you this is actually only one coat of gesso, and I think the more coats you put on, the better it will do its thing. But there's the mark. I'm able to get this really nice mark. And if I use the fine one, which I'm going to grab out of there it is, the fine tip, I can get some really super fine lines. Just going to take it out of this one. Got two, happen to have two with me today. You can just change it out, put it in, you can put it back in the little thing so you don't lose it, the little capsule, or so that the cat doesn't get it. And then you can just change it out so they fit perfectly on top. So I'm hoping make sure everybody's. I'm just going to refresh this page. So I don't want to miss if anybody is chatting. I hope I don't miss any of it. Oh, there it is. Oh, just a moment here. I'm having a moment. Here, no, everybody, I think I'm seeing it fine. Okay. So here I've got the 1 millimeter, so it's thinner. So I have to be much more careful when I work with this. I'm just going to kind of just gently make some lines. Like if I want to make squigglies, I can make kind of squiggly lines. They're very faint. Just want to try something different. And I just kind of take those and just let the silver deposit. Now I'm seeing that I see that nice shininess. You see, I don't know if you see that yet, but the more you just add to it, the more it just kind of comes alive. And this is actually for someone, it takes a lot of patience. Now the gessoed surface will not rip, so you can go a little harder. It won't make an indentation, but I have to be careful with this tip because this tip is thin and it will bend if I'm not careful. So I'm just kind of going really light, making little cross hatches, and I'm just loving it when I see the silver come out showing. So that's how you could do it if you don't have the mineral paper, or if you do want to try some mixed media things with your journals or artist trading cards or whatever you've got. You can use a Silverpoint as a way to get some kind of a mixed, I don't know, just a different look. And I'm going to just kind of do this. I feel like this is sort of calling for it. So I've got the watercolor, and I'm going to grab, stick it over here. And grab some of my watercolor because I see that it looks like it needs a little color. And I'm just going to put the color right on top. And this is gesso, so when with a gessoed surface, it's going to take the color a little bit differently. And what's going to happen is once that I put the watercolor over it, the watercolor is going to probably prevent me from using the Silverpoint tool again, because it just, once you get that surface is, covered with something else, it probably won't accept that mineral or the Silverpoint. But yeah, I just wanted to try this. Oops, it's way too much color, but let's see what, I'm going to try to take that off. It's so much different working on different surfaces rather than watercolor paper, because I've kind of been on the watercolor mode lately. And yeah, that's kind of fun. So I've got this little thing going on. I'm going to let that sit and I'll come back to it in a minute, but it just kind of changes things up. Hi, Randall. I'm glad you're here. And Pat's here. Yay. So Pat, anybody that just joined, it's just me. Phoebe's on her way to New Orleans. So I'll be joining her tomorrow. In fact, I'll be meeting Phoebe physically for the first time in all these years I've worked with her. So, well, not all these years, but just, 3.5 years. And I'm so excited that I'll be able to actually see her in person. She's gonna pick me up at the airport, actually. I'm really excited to be able to do this. All right, so I'm gonna let that sit aside. And I just wanted to show you something that I like doing. If you don't want to just do a freehand drawing, I want to show you some ways that you can use the mineral paper. And I kind of wanted to show you an example of what I did earlier. It was so easy and so much fun. And it was really just a simple thing. This I can watercolor later, which I plan to do because I can't leave the watercolor alone. But let me get a piece of plain mineral paper out and grab one. And if you want to do your board, the one that comes in the kit, I would do that once you've practiced a lot on the plain sheets and kind of decide what you want to do with that board, because it's a really neat board. So like if you want to do, let's say a little moonscape or something, I'm going to take my circle template and I'm just going to do a little, kind of a circle, perfect circle, right? Like a moon. And if I wanted to kind of add a little texture in there, I'm just going to hold it right there. And I could take my other tool, the one that has this 1 millimeter, and I can just kind of squiggle some, just feel like squiggling, kind of like, I'm just kind of going around, squiggly, making little squiggles. And this is what's going to give some interest and texture underneath my watercolor. I'm just doing a little bit, just to kind of give it a kind of read as a gray, silvery color. Now, what kind of gesso? Any gesso, Kim, you would need just plain old like little Liquitex or golden, any gesso. There's also a brand, and I'm going to show you this because I've got this stuff and I think it's awesome. If you want to go really fancy, there's this stuff. Pullman in 3 days. Oh yeah. Traditional Silverpoint ground. This is you just mix it with water and paint it on with a brush and onto any surface you want. Just like with gesso, you could paint it onto a journal page, pretty much anything you want a silver point. And the thing that I love about the silver point is it's not moving unless I try to erase it. I mean, it's not going to move around with my finger. It's on there. So I really like this. I like that little bit of a kind of a light gray thing going on. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my little stencil, and you can use any stencil that you have. This happened to be one of mine. And just happens to be, let's see, I'm going to put it, it's like stick it like right here, there. And I'm going to take my 2 millimeter, and I'm just going to start kind of going inside. Not, you can trace it if you want it, but I kind of like just taking the tool because I'm going to get this really interesting kind of shape. You're going to see what happens. It's pretty cool. And I'm going to go over the moon, this little moon thing, but I'm going to squiggle too. I'm doing a little bit of squiggling, and I'm just doing it kind of lightly. And the more I go over it, the darker that is going to get, I just think it's fantastic. I love this. Sometimes when you're not feeling like you feel a little like not drawing or something, just a stencil can really kind of open up your creativity, and you don't have to feel like, oh, I've got to draw something. You can just use that stencil as your jumping off point, which is really cool. Hey, Rue, Michael's here. Just dropped in to say hi. Hi. Oh, thanks so much. And I will tell Phoebe hi. And so glad you're here. Suggest Yasutomo. Yes. Sato Yamamoto, you mentioned you want to, is it the washi paper? Let me know if it's the washi paper, and I'll be happy to pass that message on. So just just write it in the text. Sato, that would be great, or in the chat. Yes, New Orleans, it's gonna be fun. Wish you were there. That would have been really fun to have all the artists there. We've had some good artists that come and demo for Yasutomo, and this year I get to do it. I'm so excited. So I'm just creating this kind of filling in my little stencil here. Now you can just draw, but I'm just trying to show you a quick way that you can do something really fun. And I can go as deep or as light as I want, but I'm just going to show you how fun looks. See, look at that. And what's really cool is I'm just going to take this and continue, because you know how stencils have those little holes. They don't finish their lines. So now this is where I get to make a stencil my own. I get to make something that's more complete. So it doesn't look like a stencil so much. It's just it's a drawing at this point. So I've got my little finished sort of my layout here. Now if I want to go and create some line around that a little bit more, these look kind of like hearts, don't they? Or ginkgo leaves. But they're kind of on a strange stem, so I guess it would be. So I've got this simple thing going. I can add a little more dark around here with my Silverpoint tool. And this one didn't treat, but here again, I'll show you. If I get this wet, if I tried this with graphite, of course, you know what would happen, right? Or I can even splatter some color on right now. I think that'd be fun. Let's try that. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to put some color on it. Let's see, maybe some blue. Just going to put it on there. And what's nice about this, see the places place where I wet and the place where I didn't wet, I get this nice beading up kind of thing going, which I think is a pretty cool thing on its own. But it's smooth where I pre-wet it. And when I rubbed off that, whatever that stuff is, that sizing, I don't know, manufacturing dust, whatever that is. And I'm just going to put this over a little bit just to see what I can do. I love it when I get with you on these Facebook Lives because I tend to just kind of play. And I'm going to wipe this off and see, but see what happened is I pretty much wiped off all the color, so that was a non-staining color, but I got a little tint, which is nice. And my Silverpoint drawing is right there, and it's where I want it, so that's good. And I'm just going to do a little watercolor, and I'll just add, maybe, I don't know what this color is. It's a kind of a red. I think this is the alizarin crimson. And I'm just going to do kind of, I'm just sort of coloring in, basically. I can put a little bit here. Do you see how it becomes, the Silverpoint becomes like a really nice drawing tool for your watercolors? And I really never thought of that before, but until, I started getting, oh, there we go, the blue moon. We'll call this a blue moon. Yes, in a full moon, 3 days, right? I'll be in New Orleans. Oh boy, that'd be interesting. There we go. So you've got, there we go. Just wanted to fill that moon in, and we'll see. Maybe I won't leave it like that. I don't know. Oh, thanks. Thank you so much. You're so cute. Michael, thank you for that. I'm just kind of doing my thing. When I do, ooh, that's cool too. Just dabbing it and just kind of, oh yeah. I'm just playing. So the thing that I wanted to show you is what's happening here. There we go. So this one's pretty much dry. I've got a little puddle right here that's sort of off. And it'd be fun. It's just to see, because I feel like making a mess. Denise is here. Hi. So Denise, Phoebe's not here. She's on her way to New Orleans. And I will join her tomorrow. Ooh, that's cool. So I just dabbed up some of that, and I like that little highlight going on there. I'm going to try to do, we'll see if I can silver point over this. I don't know. I don't think I can, but I'm going to try. And yes, I can. You can't see it. Here we go. Yes, okay. So if you have just a wash of watercolor, you can silver point over it. So that's cool. But because you won't get a really dark line, there we go. See that? It does work. As long as I have some of that mineral paper underneath. We'll Yeah, well, so Denise, I'll be joining her in New Orleans actually tomorrow. So it will be the first time. I was telling everyone that's the first time I'll physically meet her in person. We've only done Zoom calls, so I'm really excited to be able to see her in person. So This is too dark to do any silver point. Let's see if I can do any lines. Let's see. So I can, yep, I can do some lines. I can create all kind, I can just get in all kinds of trouble with this. But I really like this leaf just like it is actually. And I wanted to kind of see, I'm just going to see if I can shade a little bit. Yep, I can do it with a little watercolor over it. It's very faint, but it's doable. I'm going to come back to this. I'm going to show you this, and then I don't think we have a lot of time together because I'm really this one and this one. I wanted to show you some stuff, some layering things that you can do and how dark you can get. And you saw it earlier if you joined us late. See how shiny this is. This is just the silver, the 99% silver that's sitting on the mineral paper, and that's what's so cool about it. You can just kind of go back and create, just depth and more shine, but it gets darker too. The more you fill it in, the darker it gets. And I'm going to do this one a little bit because I want you to see. So if I want this one to be a little deeper, maybe in the base, you can see how fun that is. And if you want to erase, the good news is you can erase, which is pretty amazing. So let's say I want to do some clouds or something over that. I'm just going to kind of go across and make like a sort of a, I don't know, like fog going over the moon or something. And you can see that if I wanted to erase this line, actually I could, um, like graphite, but it isn't, it's silver. So I kind of soften that a little bit. I think that looks wonderful. Oh, thanks for, so the bird, I am into birds. I've been into birds lately, some whimsical and some more realistic. And this one, I wanted to see what would happen if I could build depth with just the tool and bring out just the light on the bird. So that's kind of why I just kept going around. And really, I love working with something hard because I've kind of dented my paper in a little bit too much. But I like to do this where I can just kind of work it. And this one, I'm going to tell you, it probably took a half an hour, maybe 40 minutes to build this this depth. So the more you do, like here, I'll go light here just so you can see. And I wanted it to kind of fade it out to nothing. But then I wanted to show you that how dark you can get. And I'm just going to darken this a little bit just by kind of moving it in different directions also. You're going to get like this very kind of crosshatchy thing, and eventually those little crosshatches don't show anymore. They just kind of read as solid. You can see that like this. And then I'm just going to kind of bring that shape of that bird just a little bit, kind of outline him a little bit. And you can even let's see if I can sign my name on that. I have never written my name on this. Yep, you can. So if you want to use it for signing, yeah, that's kind of cool. Works as, so let's say you run out of lead. You don't have any anything to write with. Of course, you can't write it on paper, so you have to have mineral paper. But what is wonderful, okay, so I'm reading oh yes, so Denise, you wanted me to explain it. Yes, I'll be happy to. And then someone wrote, Tristina, I didn't know these ways. Yes, you have Silverpoint pencils. Good, awesome. So dig your Silverpoint pencils out and use them with your watercolor. Absolutely. This one I could add watercolor to. It'd be interesting. I could try. I'm wondering never done this, so let's see. I'm wondering what will happen since I have so much of the Silverpoint. Just see what will happen. I haven't treated it though. We'll see what will happen. I'm just going to put a bit of watercolor. Oh, that's a little too much. I just want to see if it will accept the watercolor. And it looks like I can put a little layer of watercolor over it, and it looks like it's doing fine. So that's kind of cool. So you could tint this a little bit if you wanted. Um, it is a mixed medium because what did I just get there? Bloody on my cat scratched me or something. All right, there we go. So yeah, you can do it. You can use watercolor if you wanted to kind of make, have a sort of soften the background or even deepen it more, which I just did. And these Silverpoint pencils, where I typed in curious, Christina, if you could type in the chat where you got Silverpoint pencil, because it'd be interesting to know what's out there. I didn't know there was Silverpoint pencils? I'd love to know. You know me, I like to collect art supplies. So here, I'm just going to blend this out a little bit and try to, use, there we go, like that. So you can do, you have a lot of control and you can do some things just to kind of enhance the silver point. And I think underneath, I still see the shine that's underneath, the silver kind of sheen. I love that. I think it's interesting. So I'm glad I tried something a little different. It's just the silver point tool is a really good thing to add to your arsenal of your creative toolbox, because you just don't know. You might need something that just gives you that little hint of color, just a little bit. Plus, this is also really kind of a calming activity. I mean, it's like if okay, I only have this to work with. If you can only draw with Silverpoint, you're gonna really get some interesting lines and techniques. And right now, get rid of that. So that I could add some color to that bird. I'm gonna leave it alone right now, just because I'm gonna probably bring it to New Orleans, and maybe I'll add. And this one, this is my little start here, and I could wait for that to dry. But if you can see how the watercolor just kind of sits on the paper, and you still see the lines underneath, which I think is really cool. Let's see what else goodies we can get into. Oh, we wanted to show you this one. I had started this little bird, and this is how they look when you start. So yeah, you don't have to use them only on mineral paper. So what I was mentioning first, thank you for bringing that up again, in case anybody came late. I'm gonna grab my gesso real quick. All right, here we go. I'm gonna grab it so you can see what I used. But I used this gesso, and I put one coat on. I think you'll get a better drawing surface if you do more than one coat, maybe one or two. So just put a couple coats. Now, when you do it, wait 24 hours or more before you start drawing with the silver point. It just needs time to really set. And the other product you could try is this stuff. It's called Traditional Silver Point Ground. I got it from Natural Pigments LLC. It's a great company that makes great stuff. But this one this will last me for the rest of my life. I know it. Well, I mean, maybe even somebody else will get it. But hi, Carol. Nice to see you. Oh, that's awesome. So you can use that. I think you could try to use watercolor ground, like from Daniel Smith. I think that might work. But these are the things that you can do to just have fun with the silver point. So no, you're not limited only to mineral paper. But like I mentioned before, it will only make marks on either gesso, something with gesso, or the ground, but it won't make marks on the paper. So if I want, I can actually make these little hatch marks. And I can go off the page, but you're not going to see the mark off the page. Here, I'll even bring in this drawing a little bit here. There. So I'm able, but it won't make that drawing, it won't work on off the page. Here we go. So I'm just going to kind of play with what's already there, like that. And it's fun. It's just a fun little tool to have, and it will never run out of lead. It'll never run out of, you'll have it forever. I mean, I've had mine for a long time, and it's only barely worn it down. And like I mentioned before, you can sand it with fine sandpaper to get a nice rounded edge if you want it round, or you can just leave it. If you want it sharp, you can change the tip size just by rolling it on the sandpaper, and you can keep it at the way you would like it to stay. Now, is it possible? Okay. Yes. So let me show you. Here we go. I'm going to show you this right now. So here's some watercolor paper. Watercolor I put on it. Let's just see. Now, watercolors are going to act depending on the kind of watercolor that you have. But this one, let's just see what happens. I didn't know. It's going to soak in. You're going to get, no, that's soaked in. I did, there, that was a staining color. I think that was the phthalo blue. So it stains, but I got rid of most of that pink color. Let's see if I can do one over here. You don't want to mess that one up yet. But let me show you, if you have a different color, like if it's not a staining color, I think you'd be fine. You can remove it. So like if I wanted to put, let's see, I'm just going to do this. Let's see if I can remove that. Of course, it's not dry. It shouldn't matter. Drying won't make the difference. I think it's, for me, what I think it is, if it's a staining or depositing color, let's see how it soaks in some of it. There is some absorbency. So you're not going to have, you won't wipe white clean. I'm just going to kind of stain this a yellow now. It won't be completely clean. It'll just be kind of stained a little bit, and it depends on the kind of color you have. Look at that. I made a green out of that blue. It's going to be a green moon. I'm just kind of playing with it a little bit. And I could really get crazy here and put some, let's see there. Just want to see what happens. Using that drawing in the background is kind of it's just the base. And then let that dry. Of course, yellow is intense. But the Silverpoint, no, does not wash away, which is pretty incredible. There, I got it mostly gone. So Silverpoint drawing, this is the cool thing. Let's say you're doing a watercolor and you go, oh God, I hated that because I didn't like what I just did. I just didn't like it. So I pretty much wiped off everything and I still have my drawing there. It's there. It's, I can wait for this to be completely dry and I can paint if I want to try over again. So this is the versatility of it. And I could be really loose or just use it as a kind of a basic shape, just to say, hey, there's the shape. It's right there. No, I don't like that either. Have you ever had days like that where you just go, I don't like anything I'm doing? It happens. I've had a few days like that kind of lately, actually. I just kind of, charge through it. Doesn't always, not everything is a masterpiece. Sometimes it's just a matter of playing. If you just let yourself play, and that's what it's all about. Now I'm going to take my Silverpoint tool, and now I'm going to just kind of use that stained area as my background. Do you see how this is fun? How there's so many ways. Now I'm going to kind of, I don't think there's a lot more to share. And I do want to sign off just a couple of minutes early. Oh, thank you. The nice brush that I'm using is called a fusion brush. And this is a number 4. Now, if you don't know anything about the fusion brushes, oh boy, these are great brushes. They come from a size 1, which is really a fine line brush, up to the 4. I think we have a size 5. It's a bigger brush. And we're actually coming out with a flat. I'm really excited. So I'm going to hang around here for a second, but I want to know if you have any questions. And I will keep in mind the washi paper demo for next time, for our next Facebook Live. I believe, we'll do some more things with the washi papers or the rice papers. And I'm hoping that this was something, that just a little fun Friday Silverpoint introduction and with the mineral paper. And I hope that it inspires you to try it if you haven't gotten one yet, or if you want to get one. Try it because it's a great way to use in mixed media art. Also, just in a traditional way. If you look up Silverpoint, look it up, like the famous artists like Durer and oh boy, some of the famous artists, I believe even Da Vinci. Different people, use this, and there's some incredible drawings that are done with Silverpoint and for metal point. Just look that up and take a look and just see if it's something that you would like to try. So I really am so glad that everyone joined in today, with just me and my cat. And I hope that we will see you in a couple of weeks. And on the Manila tag journals, those are fun. Fusion brush, yes, you spelled it right, Angie. Fusion. So fusion brush right there, Yasutomo. And if you check it all, thank you so much for everyone for joining me. And we will see everyone. And thank you, Wanda. And Jude. Yeah, he gave me a little. He's going to give me tattoos. So everyone have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you in a couple of weeks with Phoebe will be back. And yes, Julie, yes, and I'm going to be posting pictures and I'm going to bring my sketchbook, my watercolors, and if I have time, of course, in a trade show, you don't have a lot of time to do a lot, but I'm going to try to get some sketches of the scenes, and we will see everyone the next time. And I hope there's a recording of this. And everyone, take care. It's so great to see everyone, or I don't get to see you, but I know you're here. I feel that you're here. So, everyone have a really good weekend and have some creative time, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. All right, take care, everybody. Bye-bye.